In this Photoshop lesson, I'll be teaching you how to create a perspective image, or how to take an object, like a book in this case, and make it larger, adding shadows and light to make it natural looking. Here's my posed shot, and here's the picture of the book. You can tell I photographed the book really close up so that it already appears large on Photoshop when we select it and move it onto the main image. I selected the book and copied and pasted the layer onto the main image and reduced the opacity of the layer so I can see where the best place is to place the book. I also quickly just use a warp tool just to stretch out the corners of the book selection. And now I created a layer mask on the book selection, and I'm just erasing away where I don't want the selection to appear so that my body appears in front of the book. I use a small hard brush when erasing away close to the lines of my body and dress, but I use a much larger brush otherwise to make the process a lot quicker. I took the pictures of the book with the 50mm lens, which is really close up as you can tell, so I had to take two different pictures of the book and composite them together. And when I bring the layers of the book onto the main image, I transform the selection by hitting Command T on my keyboard, which allows me to make the selection larger or smaller. And I'm just darkening the second selection of the book just so it blends in together with the first selection. To eliminate the open space, I'm going to use the clone tool, and I'm just going to fill in the open gap of the book. Next, I'm going to create a shadow underneath the book, and you could do this a few different ways, but normally I just use a burn tool at different sizes, and that's how I create the shadow. And since my hand is actually touching the book, I want to make sure to add a little bit of a shadow there as well. My burn exposure level is at 51%, and I'm using a really soft brush. I don't really like what's going on in the background. I feel like it's a little distracting. So I'm going to remove it, and I'm doing that by creating a selection around the areas I want to erase, and I'm just doing that by using the paintbrush tool. And since I created a background copy layer, I'm able to create a layer mask and just paint away with black on top, white on bottom, just at the areas of the selection, just to smooth it out a little bit more. In this case, I'm also going to bring in a different sky into the image. So what I'm going to do is go to my stock folder in my hard drive, and these are images I've taken myself. They're not like other people's stock images, and I'm gonna find a photo of a sky that I think will look best in the background. I took a picture of this sky when I was in the Bahamas a few years ago, and I'm just going to copy and paste it onto my main image, and I'm going to change the blending mode to multiply. And then I create a layer mask, and then I use the paintbrush tool with black on top just to erase away at the areas of the sky where I don't want it to appear. After that, I'm going to choose the best dress flip, and I'm going to copy and paste the dress flip onto the main image we're building off of. Once I have my selection in place, I'm going to transform the selection by hitting Command T. Then I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Warp. And I love the warp tool. If you've seen my other tutorials, you've probably seen me use this many times. You can see that the warp tool just allows you to have complete control over manipulating your selection. You can stretch it out, you can make it bigger, you can angle different corners of the selection in crazy different directions. And once I'm satisfied with the way that the selection is looking, then I'm going to create a layer mask, and I'm just going to erase away at the selection so that it blends in with the dress a little bit better. And you can see that's the before and after. Now to select the hair, which is very tricky. I'm still learning how to select hair and move it onto a different picture. But you want to match up the tones. So right now I'm darkening the hair selection just to match it up with the original hair. And now I'm just using the lasso selection tool to outline the hair, and I'm going to redefine the edge. And I'm going to check the smart radius box at the top, and I'm going to bring up the radius bar to about 15 pixels. I'm going to make a few other adjustments here, and totally feel free to take a screenshot capture of my settings here because it really shows a method to making a hair selection. And just to get rid of the little whiteness that you see around the tips of my hair, I'm just going to go in with the 50% brush on opacity and fill, and I'm just going to erase away at the tips a little bit so it blends in with the background. And now I'm just making a few changes on Adobe Bridge, and I'm also going to create a little bit of an extra highlight of light on my face just to brighten up the center of the image a little bit more. Now I'm changing the colors with selective color adjustment layers. I'm adding a few curve layers, even more curve layers. I love using curves, what can I say? And going to create a vignette around the four corners of the image using curves. I'm fixing the image up just a little bit, making some last changes. And something new that I just started doing, I go to image, then I go to replace color, and I use the eyedropper tool to select the color I want to change, and I'll change the hue, maybe give it more saturation and add some lightness if needed. And you can see that's just the before and after color of the book. And now I'm just bringing in some textures, which is always the very last step that I do in my process. I love textures because it really adds a painterly feel to an image. This is what the final image looks like. Altogether, it took around 3 or 4 hours of editing, so definitely don't be fooled by this quick 6-minute video. I think as time goes on, my Photoshop process will get much quicker, but I'm just learning the same as you, so it's great we can learn together. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I can't wait to make another tutorial for you.